spirit of it, and the girl who follows her own rules and makes up her own rules, and the girls who want to run the world and rule the world. And beauty is really diverse and bigger than what we're thinking about, is what my cosmetics and what I've always believed stood for.
Iman is not only one of the most stunning women in the world, she is also the personification of the American dream. She was discovered by the extraordinary photographer Peter Beard in Kenya. He brought her to New York, where she went on to conquer the runway, the big screen, and now she has successful clothing and beauty collections on HSN. What can't Iman do? Iman has been a trailblazer for women and diversity. Long before Black Lives Matter, Iman and her friends Bethann, Hardison, and Naomi Campbell created a movement to diversify who we see on the runway. Let's watch how Iman and her friends started the Black Girls Coalition in this week's episode of Girl Power.
So now that Fashion Week is starting up, let's talk a little bit before we're out of time about the diversity issue, since you and Bethann and others have been very much in the forefront of that. How are you addressing it? Is it getting any better?
I have to say, obviously, as I said, I really don't follow like the fashion shows and all that. A couple of years ago, but I talked to Bethann every day. And Bethann told me one day, are you aware that they're not using black models on the runway anymore? And I was like shocked. I was like, what? We have Obama. What are you talking about? Everything's like we have Obama. But it doesn't mean anything, right? So she said, and I started reading. I went online, I started reading, and even to find it in the New York Times when they wrote about Calvin Klein's collection a couple of years ago, the blonde leading the blonde. There was problem. There was definitely a visible problem. So Bethann, I have to say, is the helm on all this. It really came from her. She's the one who galvanized us all and put forth of what is happening. We definitely wanted the younger models not to be put in a position that if we say something that they will be ostracized for it. So Naomi and I took it upon ourselves. Naomi doesn't need anyone, and neither do I. In terms of when it comes to fashion, it's not like we're looking for a job. And I'm political in a way that I'm like, fuck it, don't buy anything from them. That's my go-to. And Bethann keeps on saying, that's not going to fix anything, okay? So, even...
So she kind of centers you.
Well, yeah, she knows what she's doing, and I follow her. In all honesty, that's how it works. And, but we were on doing a CNN, I remember, and I said, nobody, it was very clear from what Bethann was proposing, which was nobody's calling anybody a racist, but the action itself and the absence of the models, black models themselves, is an act of racism. The other thing is that no one is telling the designers, you have to hire a black model, whether you like it or not. Because actually that works against of what we're saying. Because if the girl is not right for the collection, she's not right for the collection. But what has happened, which is very simple, what has happened in the old days, and it's still, not that far ago, that designers used to see the models themselves, right? So now the designers have too many collections and feel that they're too busy, so they've hired casting agents. And the casting agent is now at the front, so you don't see the Oz till you go through him, right? And so they started really becoming or doing acts of racism by telling the agencies, oh, we're not seeing black models this season. Now tell me if that's not racism, that remark alone. So that is what we were talking about. And I said, and I've said it several times, no one is more busier than Tom Ford, and he does his own casting agent. He's his own casting agent. So that's what it was, what we were talking about. And so CNN asked me something about that, I think Chloe or whatever it was, Celine. Everybody, every woman was coveting their bag. In all honesty, I don't have a Celine bag, and I have no intentions of buying one. I know, because at that time they refused to use black models. I'm thinking, well, why do I have to give you money for this? For me to be treated that way, And do you guys remember when that young girl was stopped at Bonnie's? I was like, you see, damn fucking Celine bag, return it. But I have somebody that I have to follow, and that's Bethann. And she says, cool it down.
Thank you, Bethann.
Yes. And she says she's got her eye, and she acknowledges the designers, and we see a palpable change since we started this balanced diversity, or since she started and we followed her. There is a palpable change, really palpable change, and it's very important to understand, again, and I say this to young models, when they say, it's great, you have to be a canvas, sometimes like a blank canvas, so designers, and they can see it, so they can project things on you, right? But don't be so blank that you don't bring anything to the table, because you gotta be unique, you gotta have something that make you stand out more than anyone else. For the life of me, I don't understand. I love Beyonce and Rihanna, but I don't use black models for what the hell is that? The world has changed. When I came to the United States, they used to say, and I used to hear this, I was trying to figure out why they said this. They used to say, oh, she looks like, not about me, but a beautiful girl, white girl. She's so beautiful, she looks like the girl next door. And I keep on saying, well, the neighborhoods have changed. The girls next she could be anything now. Right? And so that spirit of it, and the girl who follows her own rules and makes up her own rules, and the girls who want to run the world and rule the world, and beauty is really diverse and bigger than what we're thinking about, is what my cosmetics and what I've always believed stood for.
Fantastic.